Hello students, welcome to another skill building video lesson. In this video lesson we're going to cover some technical drawing skills within Autodesk Inventor. At this point you should have problem 1-3 and 1-4 done, and we're going to talk about this problem 1-5 and the technical drawing details that you see here. You might have seen my Autodesk Inventor portfolio floating around the classroom, and you might have seen some of the dimensions be a little off or not accurate, or at least not look like what they look like on screen, or not matching up with what you created. So within the technical drawing, there's many ways that you can update the text and update the font styles. So that's what I want to cover in this skill building lesson, is just how to make the text actually look nice and match some of the dimensions the way they should look. So in these problem parts, they're all done in inches. So you'll see the numbers be different than the other exercises that we've been doing. Whenever we're designing in millimeters, let's go to one of the millimeters ones. You'll see what I'm saying. I want to go to exercise. Let's go to exercise 4. So you'll see this one has larger numbers because it's in millimeters, but then the problem number ones are in inches, so it's going to look like smaller numbers because the parts are in inches and smaller. So let's learn how to update this font and update the center marks and make adjustments to our text. Okay, so let me zoom into this specific area here. So whenever you place a dimension, let me go ahead and delete this dimension. In order to delete a dimension, just click on the number, and then on your keyboard, press delete. Just like so. Click, delete, okay, click on annotate, find your dimension button, click on that. So you should know how to do this. So you click on dimension, and then click on the corners of the line that you want to dimension. Now, Autodesk Inventor should automatically snap. You see how it's snapping to the appropriate part? You can leave it like that. Now, let's say I wanted to, well, actually, let me add the rest of the dimensions and see if something happens. I'm going to click on these two corners right here, and then click on these two corners. Now, see how that snapped right there? And it's all lined up and nice? And that's what we want. We want to snap to, let's place that. If I place that right here, I'm going to need to move that 75. So here's what I'm talking about. This is technically a no-no. But what we can do is I tapped escape on my keyboard. I'm going to move that 75 over. Bring this down like that. There we go. Bring this back over here so that it's centered. Okay, so that looks a little bit more appropriate. Click on dimension, click on the center, click on this corner, and bring this down. And I think that's all we need for this top view. Oh, and we need this information, the diameter of this hole here. So it should be arranged in that order and look like this. Tapping escape. Now this 0.38, it should say 0.375. So how do we get this specific one to do that? Well, you hover your mouse over the numbers and you double click. When you double click, you get the edit dimension menu specifically only for this dimension by itself. And the same applies to all the other dimensions. If you double click on a number for the dimension, it's going to only edit that specific dimension. So we can even change the numbers here, but we don't want to do that. We want to leave it accurate within the software. But it needs to say 0.375. So in the precision tab, our precision primary units, we need to increase that. So we need to go to this one right here. Click on that, and now it says 0.375. And again, the same applies. If we need less numbers, if it's on 0, we don't want it to be 0. 1.1, that's less accurate. The precision changes. So that's not good. We want it to be 0.375, because if we were to design this part in 0.4, it's going to look wrong and it's going to be wrong. And we know this particular hole right here needs to be 0.375. So that's where you can change the amount of numbers you see within the dimension. Click OK. Let's say we want to actually change the textile and the size because we have a lot of dimensions and we need it all to fit and look clean and neat. For that, what you do is you hover over any of your dimension numbers, doesn't matter, and you right click. When you right click, you're going to need to then click on Edit Dimension Style. Okay, so you click on that. It's going to take a moment to open up the window. And here we have our style and standard editor. And we have where we see our units, alternate units, display, text, tolerance, and so on. For the units, we can change all of the precision all at once in this area. So if I clicked on that, save and close, now it shows all of these units have changed with their numbers. And that's okay, except for like this one, that's overkill. It's a solid 2. So then here I'll double click on the number and change its primary tolerance or primary unit to just the 1, and that's fine there. Same with this one, 0.25. That should just be this one right here, 0.25. The 0.75, let's change that one. Okay, 0.375, leave it like that. 0.625, leave it like that. Okay, and then let's say we want to change the textile. So right click on the number, click on Edit Dimension Style, and go to Text. So in the Text tab, this is where you've already learned this, the orientation. If you want your numbers to be horizontal, you click on that one. And if you need to change the font size or style, right here, Primary Textile, you click on this little pencil icon, and it's going to bring up the textile menu. And for text height, you can change that to a larger or a smaller one. It's always best to leave it on the default or go down 1 in size. And then for the only really acceptable font styles are what it's set to Tahoma, or Technic, or if you scroll all the way to the top, Arial. My favorite, which I would love to see you all start using, is Technic. So simply Technic. Okay, and then you click Save and Close, and it'll update that information there. Okay, so that's how you update the dimension text. Let's say you have a center line and it's not looking neat. On the center line, right click on the center line and click Edit Center Mark Style. Let that menu load up. And here you will adjust the mark styles for each of these line ticks. So like A is right here, this gap right here is B. So right now, oops, what happened? Oh, I guess, okay, never mind. Right here, so for when you're in inches, this actually looks really nice. Look at this information I have here. So A should be 0.05, B should be 0.05, the overshoot should be 0.125. For D, it should be 0.157, and for the default radius is 0.5. So this information right here, whenever you're making a part in inches, this is what you should be using. Okay, I'm going to click Save and Close because it creates really nice center mark styles for circles that you see in the top view and for when you see a hidden view of a hole. Next thing you need to be aware of is your text box. I've been seeing a lot of issues with the text box. Number one, how do we even update the text box? You should all know how to do this. So go to File, iProperties. In the iProperties menu, you have the Summary tab, the Project tab. In the Summary tab, make sure you're using all caps, all capital letters for every single piece of information. And in your project, see where it says part number here for me? problem 1-5, that's not in all caps. However, look over here. It says drawing number, problem 1-5. It's in all caps. That's because I changed the font style to Technic, and Technic defaults to all capital letters. That's another way you can mitigate any issues with having capital letters on your drawings. Where it says author, that's where it's going to say drawn. Now, some of us have really long names, and it's going to cut off your name here. It's okay to use just your first name for our class, or your last name, or even your initials. Just make sure that I know what those are. If you're going to use a nickname, just make sure I know your nickname. But you can also, in the title, write, whatever the title is, and then put your name there too. When you apply and close, and you see how it updates right here? So that's also fine too, because I want to make sure that I'm grading the correct person's work, and it'll reflect on the text box. When you get your graded assignment back, you're going to see my signature in either checked or approved. If I sign on the approved box, that means you got an A+ on the assignment. If I sign on the checked box, that means I looked at your drawing and there might be one or more things that you need to correct. You can make those corrections and resubmit to get full credit or not. It's up to you. Once you do resubmit, if you are going to resubmit, make sure I reprint it, put it in your portfolio, and make sure I grade it and I sign it in the approved area. Okay, so hopefully that answers a lot of your questions for when you're creating technical drawings, and how a technical drawing should be neat and easy to see and read, and all the numbers should be easy to see and not overlapping on top of each other and placed in appropriate spots. Okay, and now that I'm looking at this, when I updated the precision, it changed a lot of these numbers. So that's okay, but like this 2 right here with the 3 zeros, what I'm going to do is just go through, double click, change my precision. This one right here is going to need this right here. Yeah, see? Yeah. Just make sure you're not overkilling with your precision. Oops, cancel. This one here. 0.5, it should be 0.50. There we go. Okay, now that's way better and more accurate and a better technical drawing. Click Save. Yes to all. Click OK. And there you have it. So I hope that skill builder lesson was helpful for you. And make sure to answer the questions along with this video lesson. And keep moving through your problem parts and your exercise parts.